to all our speakers. I will now open the floor for questions and comments, starting with the representatives of the political groups. It's 2 minutes each, and for the EPP, Michael Gahler.
Thank you very much to all who have contributed here to this session. I think there is a broad consensus here in the House that the Iranian people deserve better. They deserve to live in a democratic state, in a state where every citizen is respected, has his and her rights fully granted, and where the diversity of the society and of the nation is also duly reflected. Insofar, I hope that those who are like-minded in this sense find common ground. And that is, of course, the challenge and also a question. I would wish, and that is a question to all of you, that you could, with the common goal of overcoming the mullah regime, whether you can find enough patience, enough openness to tolerate yourselves amongst yourselves and, so to say, see the higher common goal as a fundament to work together. So insofar I would like to hear whether those of you who are here and beyond, of course, are willing and able to seek dialogue. And the question is, of course, for us, can we facilitate such dialogue? That is the one thing. The other thing is the question whether this current war from the US and Israel against the regime, my fear is that to an extent they bomb the people back to the regime. Is that a legitimate fear? Is that a point where the regime could profit from in the current situation, that more people would, so to say, rejoin accepting the regime for a while, if only the war ends. My last, it's over. Well, I'm stopping there. Others will continue with the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. For the S&D, Nacho.
I'm using Spanish to the guests to use the headphones. Nuestra primera invitada nos ha hablado de las dos guerras, la guerra bélica y la guerra del régimen contra su población. Debo decirles que este hearing fue pensado antes de la guerra para ofrecer una plataforma de esperanza a todas las fuerzas de oposición que estaban trabajando fuera del país. No es nuestra labor, ni lo pretendemos, endosar, apoyar a unos y dejar de apoyar a otros, sino ofrecer un escenario para que todas las fuerzas que trabajan fuera del país tengan una oportunidad de dirigirse a la opinión pública europea. Pero me temo que hay otra tercera guerra, una guerra de guerrillas, porque sí es verdad que el régimen intoxica respecto de la labor de las fuerzas políticas en el exilio, también es verdad que las propias fuerzas de oposición están dando un espectáculo poco edificante desde el punto de vista de la posibilidad de colaboración para subvertir el régimen de los mulás. Son continuas acusaciones de unos a otros. No hay, por el momento, una posibilidad certera de cambiar el escenario y están ustedes arrojándose unos a otros acusaciones en un modo que no hace que nuestra voluntad de crear un espacio de esperanza tenga muchas oportunidades. Está el Iran Freedom Congress, el IPP, que acaba de ser citado, el United Republican of Iran. Por favor, sabemos que es difícil, pero traten de colaborar, traten de no ser exclusivos, traten de encontrar plataformas conjuntas entre ustedes, porque si no, toda nuestra ayuda para ofrecer espacios se va a convertir en otro escenario de debates y discusiones entre ustedes, en vez de una oferta que dé esperanza al pueblo de Irán. Yo quiero preguntarles por su opinión sobre la guerra. Ahora, en este momento. Las opiniones pueden haber sido diferentes al principio. Ahora me gustaría saber cuál es su opinión sobre si la guerra, tal y como está, va a ser útil o no útil para un cambio de régimen en el país. Gracias.
Thank you, Nacho. Who would like to take the floor for the PFE group? No request. Then for the ECR, Sebastian Tinkinen.
Thank you, Chair. Since we have a freedom of speech, I will say the following. I regret that we are witnessing this moment. Reza Pahlavi's name is the only one being shouted in the protests organized by Iranians across Europe. For this reason, I requested that we invite him to address the European Parliament in plenary session. The majority of the Parliament did not support that proposal, so hearing the voice of the Iranian people was downgraded to a committee-level hearing. Following the coordinators' decision, it became clear that Reza Pahlavi could not participate due to prior commitments. Nevertheless, this meeting is still taking place, and I now hear Reza Pahlavi being criticised on the panel in his absence. I wonder whether this is what Iranians expected when we told them we would listen to their voices. I truly respect the presence and time of all the participants here today, because a multi-party democracy requires a diverse opposition. However, I deeply regret the signal we are sending today to the majority of the Iranian people. If anything, this hearing is not balanced, and we all know it. Thank you.
Sorry, but I didn't get your question. So it was more description, but not a question.
There was no question, it was a comment.
Ms. Benadi, I'm chairing this meeting. That's okay for you? Look, Sebastian, I don't want to comment on what you just said, but it's not 100% factually correct, what you just said. I mean, with all due respect, you know exactly that we agreed among coordinators to organize this hearing. Proposals were made, who was supposed to be invited. The groups made proposals, and then we sent out invitations. And some accepted, others, due to prior commitments, couldn't come. Just that we get it right. And I don't think that was 100% fair what you just said, because this is not how it was organized. Now, next is for the Renew Group, who? Marie-Agnes Strack-Zimmermann.
Thank you, Chair. For decades, Iranians have been oppressed by a ruthless regime that grants its people hardly any freedom, a regime that murders Iranians simply for wanting to live in freedom, a regime that finances terrorist groups and proxies across the Middle East, a regime that supplies Russia with weapons in its war against Ukraine, affecting Europe's security directly. A regime developing nuclear capabilities and ballistic missiles with range that reach Europe itself. A regime that intimidates Iran's living right here on European soil. So for decades, we tried diplomacy, we applied pressure with limited results. Yet, while the trajectory remains uncertain, one principle remains clear. The future of Iran must be determined by its own people, and I am therefore grateful that we are joined today by voices that represent the breadth, diversity and courage of the Iranian people. On the 16th March, Reza Pahlavi announced a transitional justice framework under the Iran Prosperity Project. So, Ms. Ebadi, you have spent decades defending human rights in Iran at significant personal costs, and you have now been appointed chair of this transition committee. I would therefore like to ask you two questions. First, where does the committee work stand today? What has been achieved already, and what are the next steps? And second, what do you need from the European Union? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now for the Greens, I give the floor to Thomas Weitz, please.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks to all of you for coming and sharing with us the part of the assessment that we just heard from colleague Strack-Zimmermann. I can totally share, and I spare that in my intervention. I must say I'm a bit irritated about the name Reza Pahlavi described as a prince. I think Iranian people shall decide in elections about who leads them, and we shouldn't kind of even give the impression that we kind of suggest to return to a monarchy, but that's maybe just my personal irritation. I have a very concrete question. I mean, this regime was only able to uphold its power because of economic powers. These economic powers very much resulting into the on the export of fossil fuels. I don't think it's a positive outlook for the European Union to even increase our dependency on fossil fuels wherever they come from. So I don't think this is part of a win-win situation. We shall get rid of our dependency of fossil fuels wherever they come from. But my concrete question is, economically, the Revolutionary Guards are much more than a militia or part of the army or a security service, but they are an enormous, and they hold an enormous economic power in Iran and beyond Iran. Also, in many of our European states, there are companies that have links to the Revolutionary Guards, that have links to Iranian companies that are circumventing the sanctions, that are circumventing restrictions. What is your impression? Are we, on the European Union side, doing enough to investigate, to go after dubious money streams, to go after dubious companies, investments into real estate, and so on and so forth? Do you think this is sufficient, or is there more work to do? Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. For the left, Danilo Della Valle. No, Mark Potenga, please.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thanks to all the guests for their input. Maybe just as you know, I don't consider that the West's policy in the Middle East has been one of promoting human rights and democracy. It's been most about oil and gas, and this is why we have been so strongly criticizing all human rights violations in Iran, but have looked away when the Saudis executed hundreds, or are much less critical of the fact that countries like the Emirates or Qatar have no democracy, and let me not even start about our complicity with Israeli crimes. It is about oil and gas, and I think one example of that has been also recently when we hear the EU representatives unable to condemn the massacre of the Minab girls' school, that's bombed by the US allies. We're unable as European Union to clearly condemn that, or even condemn the war, the US-Israeli war against Iran, which clearly shows double standards. Russia attacks Ukraine, we condemn. United States attack Israel, attack Iran, we do not condemn. I have some concrete questions in this regard on the future of Iran you have. First, I'm not sure if you've all condemned, expressed empathy with the victims of the Minab girls' school, but I want to ask very concretely to our Kurdish invitees. You are often accused of wanting to cut a piece of Iran. Is that true? Or is your model more something like the autonomy we now see in Iraq, Syria, in that kind of, what is your model? I mean, Syria is obviously also chaos. Iraq doesn't really exist anymore, centralized government-wise. To Mrs. Ebadi, there was hundreds of civil rights activists, human rights activists recently calling for the withdrawal, the revoke of your Nobel Prize because you called for military intervention in Iran. Now, recently I heard you say that bombs will not get rid of the Ayatollahs. What is your position exactly, in favor or against war? Mr. Bashir, you participated in demonstrations with the Israeli flags. The Israeli regime has killed tens of thousands of children throughout the region. Is this a model you support? Or, because in that case, I'm not sure where you stand on human rights, so I would like you to clarify this. Because if we really want the sovereignty and popular sovereignty of the Iranian people, we need to be clear about the values first. Thank you.
All right, thank you. For the ESN group, no request to take the floor. Then I now give the floor to Lucas Furlas, AFET Standing Rapporteur on Iran, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. I would like to say a few words on the subject as a Standing Rapporteur for Iran. We stand with the people of Iran, closely following the conflict and the developments. This is not a situation that we started, but we cannot remain passive when something so serious is happening. From the very first moment in my role as Standing Rapporteur, I have been in contact with those involved. What is needed now is a clear and common strategy, a plan with direction and purpose. Let me be clear, the Iranian people will decide about its future. No one else. We stand with the people of Iran, not only in words but in commitment. The Iranian people deserve a future with freedom. They deserve dignity, justice and respect for their rights. I will continue to listen, to act and to support the people of Iran for the next 3 years, In my role as rapporteur, I will remain available and engaged. The next day in Iran must be built on this foundation, a country open to its people, a country where voices are not silenced, a country that looks to the future with hope. This is not only a regional issue, it is a matter of values, and we must stand firm. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lucas. I now give the floor to other members who would like to speak. In the moment, we have on our list for the EPP, Juliana Zovko. Then we have Andrei Kovachev. We have for the SND, Daniel Attar. And we have non-inscrit Mr. Brown and Ms. Sorel. Evin Inchir. Who else? Mr. De La Valle. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 speakers. I would like to ask you to, 1.5 minutes perhaps, that should be possible. And we kick off with Ms. Zovko.
Right, thank you very much. I will follow up for what my colleague have said already. It seems to me that we don't have a full representation of the opposition here, but nevertheless, I would like to ask the chair to give us also information. Is there any possibility to organize a separate hearing or a new hearing with the leader of the main wave of the opposition as well, so to have a full picture? But nevertheless, we have to rely on the fact that the opposition that we like to listen here understands what this Parliament has done in the last few decades with the resolutions on the respect of human rights and the breaches of human rights in Iran. So this should not be forgotten in this cacophony of the military actions that are taking place. And can you just give me the answer? How was this women rights and the attack of women in Iran, how was that treated? Was there any discussions among the oppositions and how on the consequences of that? Because we haven't heard a lot in recent times on that. So can you give us the answer? Because sometimes we can support somebody who can turn out to be the same thing, is just in a different package. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I give the floor to Mr. Attar, who's also the Vice Chair of the delegation.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to the people who have came to this Parliament to address this subcommittee, which is not a lower level, but it is an institutional body, an important one in this Parliament, and I thank you for being here. It's a privilege to be here in this room, as I told you earlier today, because while we deliver speeches in the chamber, from the comfort of the chamber in Strasbourg, you are fighting on the ground to bring about change in Iran, change for the people of Iran, the wide spectrum of the people of Iran, and our role is simply to support you in your struggle. Your struggle is our struggle. Your fight is our fight. It's not just Western values, as I said earlier, and in other opportunities. The respect for human rights, equality, freedom of expression, and freedom of thought, these are all common human values, our values, and we will continue to support you. And my question is a genuine, not political one. There has been a lot of questions raised about the military operation. We have found ourselves in a very delicate and sensitive situation whereby on one hand we are against foreign military intervention. There is no doubt about my position on that. But on the other hand, we have heard people saying that this military operation gave hope to the people of Iran. It gave them the best chance to topple the regime. I want to hear your position on this. What is your opinion on this military operation? Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Mr. Kovachev.
Thank you very much, Chair. The representative of different opposition groups to this horrible regime in Tehran which caused so much damage and so much trouble for the whole world, but especially for the Iranian people. I would like to express my full solidarity with the people of Iran, and the future and destiny of Iran is in your hands, in the hands of all Iranian people, and not in the hands of us or of our political orientations. But we would like only to hear from you how we can help you, what kind of platform we can build for you, what we can do. And our real call is that please unite for the how Mikhail Galar mentioned, for the biggest value, which is the change of the regime and the democratic, secular future of your great country. You need to unite. You must unite to have a united front against this terrible regime. Please, I know that you come from different backgrounds, and then you have memories of the past, and then some of you don't like monarchy, some of you like. Doesn't matter this. For the moment, the much more important is the change of the regime, and I'm very unhappy with some member states of the European Union, which they say we can continue with this regime, or we are not aiming a regime change. Yes, this is the seek of the people of Iran, that a regime change needs to be done, and we are here to hear how we can help you with this regime change. If you are divided, then there is indeed no hope. And again, the question about the war in Iran, which is by United States and Israel, is it something which can help, or in opposite will be difficult for the regime change?
Thank you. Next is Evin Inshir.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thanks to the guests for being here with us today. I want to, as my colleagues have already done also, show solidarity with all the people in Iran, all parts of the society. And of course, it is not up to us here in the European Parliament to decide who is going to lead the opposition in Iran. What we do, as I've heard that everybody at the stage have asked for also, is to bring together the opposition, not decide that one day we should have some part of it, the other day we should name one person as the leader of the opposition. It's not up to us. And what is being chanted on the streets in the European Union or in Iran, I believe that some have expressed that some names are only being chanted, which is not fully correct, because there are other things that also has been chanted. With this said, we need to go from showing solidarity to also take actions. Here it is important to hear from you, what can we concretely to do from the side of the European Parliament and from the side of the European Union. Of course, we do not want to see a divided Iran. We want to see an Iran that encompasses the whole population. We don't want to see the country being ended up in the same situation as Syria is, where some part of the society do not know if they will be granted their fundamental rights or not. Here we, as the European Union, have a responsibility. And finally, also, I'm a bit curious to know what is your view on the actions of Israel and US. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Mr. De La Valle.
Grazie Presidente. I'll switch to Italian. Provo una sincera e profonda vicinanza nei confronti di chi cerca di lavorare e lotta per migliorare le condizioni del proprio Paese. Allo stesso tempo però voglio dire che sono distante anni luce da chi gioisce per i bombardamenti sui civili innocenti, soprattutto quando le bombe poi vengono spacciate per democratiche e umanitarie. Io credo, dopo 4 anni di retorica tra aggressore e aggredito sul conflitto russo-ucraino e la perdita di credibilità dell'Unione Europea, visto l'atteggiamento vile assunto nei confronti del genocidio dei palestinesi a Gaza per mano di Israele, ora mi sembra che stiamo raschiando un po' il fondo del ridicolo di fronte alle aggressioni militari ai danni del Libano e dell'Iran, perché io spero siamo tutti d'accordo che la libertà del popolo iraniano non è quella delle bombe statunitensi che hanno riservato alle bambine della scuola di Minab, spero, e nutro un profondo senso di rispetto per il popolo iraniano e per la sua storia millenaria. Sono convinto che i mali dell'Iran, la soluzione ai mali dell'Iran risiedano unicamente nelle ambizioni del suo stesso popolo, appunto del popolo iraniano, e non certo nei ritorni dei monarchi o degli scià come sponsorizzati da Washington o Bruxelles. E mi domando agli intervenuti cosa pensano appunto dei bombardamenti di Stati Uniti e Israele ai danni dell'Iran, se li condannano, e soprattutto cosa ne pensano di un possibile scenario siriano anche per l'Iran. Grazie.
Mr. Brown.
God bless Iranian people. I'm very grateful for the contribution that Persia has in world's history, and that is why I don't personally feel authorized to conspire against or for any regimes, any authorities over there. And I am a member of this Parliament and this Commission for relatively very short period of time, nearly 2 years, and I can observe that every month or two you propose here such a conspiracy. Every month or two you are debating some regime overthrow, you are debating restoring democracy here or there, and I refuse this offer. I don't want my nation, my country, my state to be engaged in such matters. The only regime I would really love to contribute to overthrowing is this regime, this Euro-Kolkhoz European super state regime. Obviously, I want to contribute to some good change of government in my country, but I refuse to conspire against any authorities in Tehran, and I do not recommend any of you to take part in such actions.
Next is Ms. Sorel, please.
I speak in French. J'aimerais savoir si vous avez des propositions à nous soumettre, des propositions qui seraient des alternatives aux sanctions. Ce que l'on observe, c'est que les sanctions ont failli. Moi-même, je suis contre les sanctions parce qu'en règle générale, on a observé que c'est le peuple qui en souffre et pas les dirigeants. On le vérifie en Iran. Donc, avez-vous des exemples à nous donner? Existe-t-il actuellement, selon vous, un effet drapeau en Iran? C'est-à-dire le fait que la population, du fait des bombardements intensifs de M. Trump et M. Netanyahou, peut-être que maintenant, ça renforce quelque part le pouvoir du régime iranien, donc le contraire de ce qu'on aurait souhaité. Monsieur Hijri, vous avez parlé longuement d'un modèle qu'il faudrait mettre en place. Et la manière dont vous l'avez décrit, ça ressemble un peu au modèle du Liban. Et nous voyons à quel point le Liban est déchiré et soumis à des affrontements entre les différentes religions. J'ai un dernier point. Pour certains de nos collègues, c'est que la démocratie, ça consiste à laisser les gens libres de choisir leurs dirigeants. Moi, avant même que la guerre se déclenche, il y a des Iraniens qui étaient assez haut placés qui m'avaient parlé, des dissidents, et qui me disaient qu'ils ne voulaient pas que l'Occident se mêle de nouveau, vu ce qui s'était passé avec l'Ayatollah Khomeini. Et puis, pour eux, ils me parlaient déjà à l'époque de Reza Pahlavi en me disant, moi je suis neutre, hein, je dis simplement ce que ces gens-là m'ont dit, qui était assez important, et qui m'ont dit que Reza Pahlavi apparaît comme le candidat de Trump et Netanyahou. Donc vous comprendrez que si c'est le cas, c'est vraiment très handicapant. Merci.
Right, thank you.